everyone, I'm Skye.
And I'm Rosie.
And today we're going to be talking to y'all about how to go vegetarian.
I grew up not eating meat by my own choice. My family really didn't know what to do with me at mealtimes, but I just was kind of hesitant to. I thought it smelled weird, looked weird, tasted weird, until my early adolescence. That's when I started eating meat again because of social pressures really from my friends. And so then when I did start eating meat, I was really eating all the wrong stuff, relying a lot on fast food. Chicken nuggets were my thing. And when I got to college freshman year, I realized that I was sad to have moved away from that life choice, because for me, becoming vegetarian would mean a step closer to a healthier diet, certainly. Also, it was a way for me to align my diet with my values, because I was learning a lot more about environmental issues and climate change and thinking how I could do my part to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And the meat industry is really one of the greatest contributors to carbon emissions. Something we really want to stress to you is that you're in the position to define what being a vegetarian should look like in your life, and also finding your own reasons for it. So don't feel compelled to adopt a vegetarian diet just because we said so, and you certainly don't have to follow the same path either.
Right. There are a lot of socially and culturally, there are a lot of different takes on vegetarianism. So sometimes some people will stay completely away from dairy. Some people eat dairy sometimes. Some people are weird about honey. Some people are weird about eggs.
Mm-hmm.
It's all sort of up to you how you want to interpret that. To begin this process, I think we both would probably recommend that you start looking at what you're eating. For a week or maybe 2 weeks, we would suggest keeping a food log. And it's really simple to do. Whatever you eat, however much of it you eat, just write it down. And you don't have to be super religious about it. You don't have to carry a notebook with you everywhere you go. But before you go to bed, just try and think back and remember what it is that you ate that day. That way, at the end of a week or at the end of 2 weeks, you can see trends. Oh, wow, I'm really eating a lot of meat at lunch, but at breakfast and dinner, maybe not so much. Mm-hmm. You can see trends like that. So going to the grocery store, that's a little bit more of a foreign territory for some people in our age group, I think. Mm-hmm. We tend to go with our parents only or something. Growing up, we would only go and they would tell us to go run around the grocery store and get what was on the list. So I would recommend that you go and explore your grocery store. Start in the produce section. When you walk in, that's where all the green stuff is. Go there and see what there is to see. Maybe pick up some things that you're familiar with and that you know how to eat and know how to cook. And then maybe try one new thing, 2 new things at a time. That way you're not wasting a lot of food, but you do get to sort of diversify your palate and see what you're actually interested in. I think that something that people really do struggle with, though, is how do you eat when you're on campus?
So I would say that it's really simpler than we think it is, since very many things are vegetarian and you wouldn't really need to change what you're eating. I mean, pizza is vegetarian. There's pasta almost anywhere. A lot of campuses have made-to-order sandwich stations, so it's pretty easy to go there. Really, I rely on hummus a lot. It's a great way to get protein, and it's tasty addition to sandwiches, to salads.
Hummus is the catch-all, I think, for vegetarians. For one thing, it tastes delicious, but also it's what is hummus? It's a dip. It's a condiment. You can eat it with a spoon. I feel like it's sort of the everything. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's just my go-to for everything. But what if you don't like hummus? There's lots of other things that you can eat on campus. If your campus does any kind of Chinese food, that is probably going to be vegetarian. Fried rice tends to be vegetarian. I make a lot of that on my own with brown rice. If your campus doesn't have brown rice, that's okay. Rice is still vegetarian. It's just not going to have quite the same nutritional content.
It's a really good idea to plan out a gradual timeline for cutting meat out. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely recommend that if this looks like a challenging change for you, to start with the meat you don't care about so much. Mm-hmm. If bacon is your go-to on Saturday brunches, then save that for last. Enjoy it. But meanwhile, see the places in your regular eating routine where, yeah, I don't really need that chicken strip on that salad or in the pasta because you still are going to enjoy the base meal.
One cautionary tale for you. When you are diversifying your diet, try not to go for the meat substitutes. So don't go for the fake chicken nuggets. Don't go for the highly processed fake meat because it's still a processed food, so nutritionally it's not going to be what you need. It's okay occasionally, I think, especially if you're like at some sort of a social gathering or like a cookout and they have veggie burgers, eat the veggie burger if you want to. But when you're buying things for yourself, look at the ingredients and make sure that you know what they are and that you can pronounce them and things like that. There are different varieties, I guess, of fake meat products. There are some veggie burgers where you bite into it and you can be like, that's rice, that's corn, bell pepper, tomato, and you like know what they are. And then there are some that you bite into and it's like, oh, that looks like mush, and mush. So maybe stay away from the second kind and move more towards the first.
And one thing that Skye and I don't really see eye to eye on is tofu, which is something that I love. Tofu. I get a kick out of cooking it up in different ways. I make really awesome marinades, just like combining so many things into it. Sometimes I'll even go a little crazy, put some honey or some maple syrup in to give it a sweet kick, and then I'll add that to a vegetable stir fry or in pasta or really anything. It's a very versatile food, and it's based in soy, so something you want to be careful with if you want to try eating tofu is to definitely try to get organic, since after corn, soy is the most highly altered, genetically modified food in our country.
So I guess sort of going off of the campus line, when you're eating out with your friends, everyone has friends, everyone likes to go out to eat, but sometimes you're looking at a menu and you're not sure what to order. And definitely this comes into play when your friends are like, oh yeah, let's go get burgers, let's get chicken wings, things like that. So what I like to do at one of our burger joints here is I will pick the sandwich that I want that has, the onions, the tomatoes, the cheese, the whatever it may have on it, and then I just ask for it without the meat. And I might get a funny look sometimes, but I'm just like, I'm a vegetarian, can I have the sandwich without the burger patty, just with all the stuff on it? And most of the time people are pretty compliant.
In that situation, first of all, when I get to decide when I'm going out with my boyfriend or friends, family, I will probably opt not to go to a solely burger joint, but you can't always be in control, and in that case I would probably get a veggie burger because some of them can be really yummy. I've had the best veggie burger ever where it had feta cheese inside of it. So good.
I'm hungry. If we're all like sitting around, we're like, I wonder where we should go for dinner. I always try and either suggest some sort of an Asian cuisine or Italian, because those Italian dishes, they tend to be pasta-based. Asian dishes tend to be rice-based. And from there, most everything I can either find something vegetarian on the menu, or I can modify it with a waitress pretty easily so that it is vegetarian. And don't be afraid to ask servers. A lot of times, people know that not everyone's going to want to eat meat.
So one of the biggest challenges with going vegetarian can be the reactions you get from people you're close to. Skye and I both made this transition while we were college students on campus, and going back home to be with your family can be kind of rough when they don't really understand why you made this change, what's changed in terms of what you eat. In fact, I actually did the first summer I went home after going vegetarian, I did wind up eating a little bit more meat going home. And that's also okay too, because this isn't a religion.
You need to establish a game plan for yourself. So if you're the kind of person that's going to go home every Christmas break, every summer, you're probably going to want to tell your family that you're making this decision. I know the first time I did this, I came home and just was like, I'm not eating meat anymore. And everyone was like, what? And all of a sudden dinner was dramatic. But if you give your family a heads up that this is going to be happening, then they can sort of prepare for it as well. Not that it needs a lot of prep work, but it is kind of shocking for some families. Okay, so men, we're looking at you. We're calling you out here, or I am. I don't know if Rosie's gonna jump on this boat quite yet. But there is this stigma that men need to eat a lot of protein to be a real man. You know, that if you want to build muscle, you have to eat a lot of protein. If you want to eat a lot of protein, you have to eat a lot of meat. We've talked a little bit about the meat and protein sort of
Myth.
yes, myth, but let's talk about it a little more. So I understand that sometimes people want to get big and put on muscle and all of that, and that they're working towards their health and everything. But achieving that body shape, if that's what you choose to do, does not mean at all that you have to start that you only can eat meat. You can eat as many vegetables as you want. You can eat all of the whole grains that you want. And you can totally leave meat alone and still put on that kind of muscle. There's a vegan bodybuilder who was like jacked, just like muscles for days. So clearly, if a vegan bodybuilder can do it, I mean, you can do it too. Yeah, so it's not like it's a super conscious thing, but if you make sure that you're eating a variety of colors, a variety of grains and nuts and seeds, that you can find protein pretty much anywhere. For instance, if you're having a burrito, rice and beans, oh my god, complete protein. What?
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, so don't overthink it, but if you do start to notice maybe that you're feeling a little more tired or that you don't have as much energy, then I would go back to keeping that food log and see what it is that you're eating. If you realize that while you are maintaining a vegetarian diet, you're only eating French fries and Oreos, you're not getting the protein you need. So also to sort of go off your research, you also want to do some reflecting on your own. You want to really think about why you want to make this decision. What sort of parameters are you going to give yourself? Are you going to eat dairy? Are you not? Are you going to eat meat never, ever, ever? Or are you going to eat it only on holidays? Things like that are good things to sort of think about. Also, you need a game plan. You have to develop some sort of a goal for yourself and give yourself a timeline. And the more specific you are, I think the easier it is. I mapped out mine pretty specifically. I was like, these 2 weeks I'm going to eat this. The next 2 weeks I'm going to eat that. And the next two, whatever. So that I always knew where I was. And don't be afraid to check in with yourself or check in if you know someone who's a vegetarian. Sort of ask them their story. And, you can't really get enough information on this topic because it is a pretty significant life change. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good to have all of the information that you possibly can as early as you possibly can with this change.
And along with that, you may find it useful to check in with yourself and kind of document the physical changes that you undergo as you get further and further along in cutting out meat from your diet. Then you'll be able to look back and say like, hey, I really do feel better, or my face did clear up because I cut out all this crap. Whatever it might be, that will just help also reinforce your decision when you get to more trying times.
Mm-hmm. Don't expect this to be maybe like the easiest thing in the world to do. I gave myself a really long time, which made it very, very simple. But the first couple times that your friends want to go out for burgers, that's going to be something that you have to learn to navigate. So just be prepared for that. And that's why Rosie and I both think that arming yourself with that kind of knowledge and that sort of plan that you have is going to make that a lot easier for you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for sticking around for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, email, smoke signal, whatever. Thanks.
Bye. Change.